Curious George and the Puppies by Margaret and H.A. Ray. This is George. George was a good little monkey and always very curious. One day, George went for a walk with his friend, the man with the yellow hat. When they sat down to rest, they noticed a tiny kitten peeking out from under a bush. The kitten looked frightened. "Perhaps she is lost," said the man with the yellow hat. Together, he and George searched the park for the little kitten's owner. But the kitten was all alone. "The kitten is too young to be on her own," the man with the yellow hat said. "We should take her to the animal shelter where they can care for her and find her a home." So George and the kitten and the man with the yellow hat got into the car and they drove to the animal shelter. Once they were there, the director of the shelter said that she was so glad to see them. She said, "It was so good of you to bring the kitten here. We will be happy to take good care of her." George gave the kitten to the director. Then he and the man with the yellow hat walked inside. "Come in," the director said, "but watch your step. We have a large litter of puppies and one has gotten out of his cage. We're still looking for him, so please be careful." She closed the door quickly behind them. Well, George had never been to an animal shelter before. Animals of all kinds were being cared for there. George saw bunnies, he saw cats, he saw turtles, he saw guinea pigs, and he even saw a snake. It looks like there's a raccoon there too. But what he didn't see is puppies. He didn't see any puppies. And the man with the yellow hat told George, he said, "I need to sign some papers, so please stay here and don't be too curious." Well, just as the man with the yellow hat left the room, George heard something barking. Maybe it was the puppies. But where was it coming from? Looks like it's behind the door, and George was curious, so he followed the barking noises. Oh my goodness, when he opened the door, he found a room full of dogs. There were yellow dogs, there were spotted dogs, there were fluffy dogs, there were dogs everywhere. There were quiet dogs, yappy dogs, and even a dog without a tail. But he saw the dogs, but where were the puppies? Then George saw a little wagging tail, and then he saw another, and another, and he was so happy he had found the puppies. Well, once George saw the puppies, he could not take his eyes off of them. He just had to pet one. Here was a puppy, the pet, and so George really liked that puppy, and the puppy liked George. So George wanted to hold the puppy, and so he slowly opened the door. Goodness, but before George could even reach the puppy, the mother of the puppy pushed the door open and was out like a shot. George tried to close the door and after her, but the puppies were too fast. There was nothing George could do. All the puppies were just leaving out of the cage, one after another. Oh my goodness, and where did they go? Well, they went everywhere. The puppies were hiding under the desk. One puppy was playing with the telephone. Another was barking at the bunnies. And one puppy was just watching the others get into trouble. George was thinking, what am I going to do? Soon, all the dogs were barking, and the cats were meowing, and the bunnies were just all hovering in the back corner of their cage. Oh my goodness, what is George going to do? Oh, just then the director and the man with the yellow hat walked in and saw everything. They said, "Oh no, now all the puppies are out. Not just the one puppy." The man with the yellow hat helped the director gather up the puppies one by one and put them safely back into the cage. Soon, all the animals were settled down and quiet again. Except for one, who was still barking. It was the mother dog. She was barking, and she was barking at nothing but just at the door. What was it she was barking at? George thought there must be something on the other side of the door that she's barking at. So he opened the door, and when he opened the door, oh, it was the missing puppy. Everyone was happy to finally find the puppy. The director scooped him up and said, "George, you certainly caused a ruckus, but if you hadn't let all those puppies out, we might still be searching for this one little lost puppy." Then she gave the puppies and their mother a special snack. "These puppies are now big enough to live with families who will take care of them," she said. "Do you want to take one home with you, George?" I wonder what George wanted to do with the puppies. He did. George did take one of the puppies home with them. That's nice. The end.